Welcome to Telling the Tale. It's the podcast where we cover every single Telltale video game. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley-Wolf, and I'm joined, as always, by Dustin Cornelius Jackson.
It's so cold in space.
And this week we're going to be covering Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series, Episode 1, Tangled Up in Blue, originally released on April 18th, 2017, directed by Jonathan Stauder, designed by Molly Malone, Mark Darren, and Brian Freyermuth, and written by Zach Keller, Nicole Martinez, and Timothy Williams.
I feel like Molly Malone is another one for the good names list. That's a good one.
Yeah, it does sound fun. It sounds like that person
go talk to Molly Malone downtown.
Molly Malone. Yeah, it's good stuff. Episode 1, Tangled Up in Blue of Guardians of the Galaxy. So we're in our last stretch. We've been talking about this. We've only got 4 more main series of Telltale games to cover before the end of our podcast, or at least before we are waiting for The Wolf Among Us 2. And
that's not a small number.
No, it's not. It's not a small number.
I mean, it is a small number.
I was going to say it was
is what I meant
number.
to say.
Yeah, I mean, we could be on different opinions on that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you convinced me.
Sometimes the strife introduces interesting conversation. But yeah, we're starting Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series. I've not known anything about this series leading up to this moment. I know everything about the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I saw the 3 of them. Pretty good. And
yeah, I love them. It might be the only MCU thing I give even the slightest damn about.
Yeah, I think they're my favorite of the MCU movies as well. This is not... It's weird, because simultaneously this Guardians of the Galaxy is very based on the movie Guardians of the Galaxy.
But it's
also,
not necessarily.
It's not that Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
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 It's like an alternate universe that's very similar.
Yeah, every like stylistic choice that the movie made, which was a lot of them, because if you go back and watch the movie, and if you read any Guardians of the Galaxy comics, they're like... First off, the makeup of that team is changing all the time, and in the movies it's kind of a static group of people. But this is the exact same lineup. And the stylistic choices with all of the pop songs and the like exact style of humor, which is mostly Chris Pratt doing funny. Like, that's in here too. It's not Chris Pratt, but it's that thing in here. Yeah, it really is the game of those movies.
Yeah, like it just feels like it, even though I mean, yeah, it's basically what we said. It's not connected to the movies, but it is along those exact same lines.
I was kind of looking forward to a more different take than this.
I get that, especially since that's what we got with, like, Batman.
Yeah, like the Telltale Batman, that's a very specific Batman that has analogs to other Batman, but really is its own thing, especially in the way that they handle characters like Joker or Harvey Dent. Those are pretty unique things for those characters. And this is the way I've seen Drax, and the way I've seen Gamora and Nebula and Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, but I will say, even though it is sticking very close to what we know, I do like that more than Batman, I think.
Yeah? You think so?
I think, yeah. Like, I think I even like it more than such a different Telltale version of Batman. I just love Guardians of the Galaxy. And this sort of tone and these characters, I feel like I had a great time with, not to jump right into opinions on the episode.
Hey, Dustin, how do you feel about it? Got it. Okay, now we can go.
I thought it was real good. I had a good, fun time with it. I felt like it had very good pacing, I'll say.
Yeah, I will be the negative one this time.
Okay.
This is maybe... I was wondering when this was going to happen because we've played so many of these at this point, right?
Right.
This is the first one that makes me feel like, oh, this is one of them. Like this is maybe the most one of them Telltale game we've played so far. And we got pretty far without feeling like that. Because even something like Game of Thrones, which I know was not exciting for you, or Batman, which is, I think, maybe a very pure distillation of the Telltale formula at this point, or The Walking Dead, which is what they're known for. All of those franchises, to their credit, they do such a good job picking them. They're so identifiable. They've got such a strong identity to their branding, to their aesthetic, to their storytelling, to just the tone of the world. And this one, I think maybe just because MCU tone is something that I'm very used to, because there's been so many movies of them.
Right.
It really felt like the most one of them so far. And also it had maybe the sense of humor that I liked personally the least. I didn't click with it as much as some of the other games. And
I get you.
It was very quippy.
It was very quippy.
Yeah, Dustin, how do you feel about quippy?
I think there's a time and a place for quippy, and I would say Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the few times where I'm like, I like this being quippy. I like having these characters say little funny things, but it's when it kind of bleeds over into other things that I get sick of it. But, you know, I think it's funny. I think it works for me here in the opposite way that it doesn't work for you, because I have not seen very many Marvel movies. I have very little interest and have seen very few. I think Guardians 3... Actually, Guardians 2 and 3 are the only ones I've seen. Well, no, I saw the Spider-Man ones. But yeah,
that's
I'm
already
very...
like 6 movies. That's a lot, though. You know, like I
but
I
it's
have
not
seen
like I
many
watch
more
them
than that,
all
but
the
also
time.
that's quite a bit, quite a few.
Right, but it's not like I watch them like all the time. I watched them like once. So you know, I'm not super down on that right now. At least with Guardians of the Galaxy, like I'm sure if I was like neck deep in the MCU, maybe I would get sick of it. Maybe I'd be like, I'm a little sick of this sense of humor going around. But I thought it worked. I thought it was fine. I got a few lines that gave me a chortle.
On the other hand, I have seen all of the MCU, except the current season of Loki. Haven't caught up on that yet, but I've seen the whole deal. This feels very much like an MCU movie, as much as Guardians of the Galaxy the movie does, which is, I think, a lot. I think it feels a lot like a typical MCU movie. It is, in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is my favorite MCU movie. I think it's the best one.
Wow.
Yeah, I put Volume 2 highest. I think that's unpopular, but I like it the most.
It's probably my least favorite of the 3, but I do like all 3 a lot.
Yeah, I really like I like Kurt Russell as Ego a lot. I think that's a great role. Yeah, so the whole premise here, one way it does diverge pretty strongly from the MCU, especially for a game that came out in 2017, which, for context, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was about to come out.
I think that's right. I remembered looking into it a while back.
Actually, let's look that up just for safety.
Good idea. That's you being on the ball.
If you search Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the first recommendations that comes up is Guardians of the Galaxy 4, and that just sounds like people being like, please. Okay.
I know we just got 3, but give me 4.
Yeah, so the first episode of this game came out on April 18th, 2017, which is less than a month before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. So at this point, only
timing.
one movie was out.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, 1 year after this is Infinity War, and 1 year after that is Avengers Endgame. So we're deep in the part of the story of like, oh, we're getting ready for Thanos to be a big problem. And
right.
What they do in this episode is right off the bat, within the first like combat challenge, within the first mission of the Guardians of the Galaxy, they kill Thanos right away.
And it's like not even a big deal.
Yeah, it's like kind of hard.
Yeah.
They have a big gun that Rocket made and it kills him.
Yeah. It turns out that's all it takes.
Yeah, they should have tried a bigger gun.
Yeah, they could have saved a lot of movies.
Yeah, Iron Man has like small handgun in his hand. Trying to think. Yeah, I don't think any of the rest of them have big guns. So that'll...
Hey, got some news for you. Try the big gun next time. Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole episode is... It was Thanos trying to collect this treasure called the Eternity Forge. They don't do anything with Infinity Stones, which I think is probably a good idea. Because that could be... I think if you put those in it, it just becomes about that. So this as far as I know, a new object that they made up for this, probably called the Eternity Forge. Thanos wanted it. Guardians of the Galaxy killed Thanos. Peter Quill takes the forge. He doesn't know what it does, so he just drinks from it like it's a wine glass.
That's fun.
And that's the whole, like, that kind of is the whole episode. I mean, all the important stuff is... We haven't talked about any of the important stuff yet. But, like, that's the that's the vibe. So, I will say... Yeah,
that's the whole episode besides the important stuff that comes after.
I will say killing Thanos right away and then, like, just having to sort of deal with that. Like, do your paperwork on the effects of killing Thanos. That's a cool opener for a series.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Sorry. I agree. Especially since on the back, it makes it sound like Thanos is just going to be the big bad of the series. Mm-hmm. And boy.
No.
I mean, it's possible. I don't know anything about this going forward. Do you think maybe he stays dead or maybe he comes back or something? I don't know. But he seemed pretty dead.
It would be so lame if he came back after this. I mean, like, they did sort of just shoot him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Oh, he's gonna, like, get up at any point, right? Like, they just kind of shot him, but the damage did look pretty heavy. There was, like, a big flaming crater inside of him.
Yeah, that's the thing with superhero stories like this, especially in this vibe. The rules are always like anyone that you see die could probably just come back in some way because there's magic and space tech and other contrivances.
Right.
But like, it was so funny for him to just be dead. So yeah, like I really hope they understood that about what they had and didn't try to mess it up by thinking, oh, people want to see Thanos.
Oh, plus you got to kick him.
You get to kick Thanos,
fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Rocket is kicking Thanos, and then Gamora, because in this story as well, Gamora is the adopted daughter of Thanos. They took that right from the movies. She's like, that's my dad, stop it. And then you can choose to kick him, and then I did.
I did as well. Yeah, of course. That was fun.
He was good to kick him.
Yeah, he's a big purple man.
Yeah. Yeah, so... How do you feel about the characterization of the Guardians? Of these characters?
I thought they were pretty good. I mean, it really is just, these are like the Guardians I've seen in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And And I like them in the movie, so I like them here.
Yeah, you skip the origin story part. They're already well established as in each of their roles, and they have been the Guardians of the Galaxy for a long time.
Right.
They are. I was trying to get a read on what kind of organization they are. Like, are they privately run, or are they like an extension of the Nova Corps? Because it sort of seems like the Nova Corps uses them as like an ancillary mercenary group. But clearly they just feel like they are a privately run thing, like they just own themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it is, because it seemed to me that they were separate from the Nova Corps, but they can, work with the Nova Corps if it benefits them.
Yeah, maybe that's how like Sam and Max interact with the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just doing their own thing. They have their own office. It's a spaceship called the Milano, which is, again, right from the movie, because it's named after Alyssa Milano? Melissa Milano? Alyssa Milano.
There you go.
That's the one. Yeah, and if you like those characters in the movie, they are exactly as they are here. Sort of alcoholic Peter Quill, revenge-focused Drax, daughter of Thanos, Gamora, Rocket, who is just like the biggest asshole. We're talking like movie 3 Rocket here. They got Rocket to be a bigger asshole really fast.
They ramped it up.
They took a shortcut there. And Groot is him. That's what he always says. Groot is me.
That's true.
Yeah.
He says, "Hello there, everybody. My name is Groot."
Yeah, and that's the group. That's just who they are. It's how they act. Nebula is still Gamora's sister, and you can see her on a Skype call with Gamora, and she's mad about Thanos dying because I guess she was still loyal to Thanos.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that's exactly what you told Gamora to make the call.
Yeah, I told Gamora because Gamora says Nebula is going to hunt down each of us and kill us, and I was thinking like, you should probably tell her to not do it.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I don't understand why I would say, well, you better not tell her, because she'll just know it at some point.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that, they all go to a bar to celebrate, a space bar where there are space people and space alcoholic beverages. And I think this is the weakest part of the episode for me.
Really?
This really stands out as frustrating to me, yeah.
That's very interesting. I'm going to skip right to the end of the episode and say this was my golden moment.
Whoa, okay. Well, so what part specifically?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, sure.
I just liked getting to chit-chat with the crew. I thought it was great to take some time after you kill Thanos to just walk around, talk to your friends, see how they're doing, see what's going on in their mind right there. I thought it was a great little scene.
There are parts that I liked for sure, and I like the talking to each of the crew members that you're talking about now.
Okay.
But
what was it you didn't care for?
Yeah, so as you go around, like first I think you go to Drax, and Drax is sitting there and he's celebrating because he feels like he got revenge on his longtime enemy. But Rocket comes up and says, Peter took the shot, you didn't really get revenge, which is theoretically true, but it was a group effort.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to say in that moment to Drax was, group effort, like I wouldn't have been able to take the shot if you didn't, we were involved in the thing together.
Right.
But it's one of those telltale binary choices where we can either say, you know what, Drax, I did sort of kill Thanos and you're kind of just a scrub, or no, it was actually just you, buddy. It's like, well, I saw it happen and it was, but why is this the way this is framed? So I'm not trying to start a fight with Drax, so I told him, yeah, you got him. And then like they do the same thing with Rocket, Rocket he's with like a bunch of alien girls, and they're gonna do shots off the big gun.
That's fun.
That is fun. That's pretty good. And like one sentence in to Quill talking to Rocket, Rocket says, "Yeah, so this is the gun that took down Thanos." And Peter goes, "Yeah, you're lucky I'm a good shot if you choose that. I chose it because it sounded fun, we're just ribbing each other. If you choose this, Rocket becomes extraordinarily mad at you. Immediately, in a way that is permanent and affects the rest of the whole episode."
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, man, they use this bar scene to sort of give you a taste of affecting your relationship with the other Guardians. That's the mechanical use of this scene. And just having like a small joke with Rocket immediately makes him non-cooperative and very upset at you for the rest of the episode. He actively hurts things that you're trying to do. Like, I said, "You're lucky I'm a good shot." Ha ha ha. And then Rocket goes,
Rocket's like, "Whoa.
Quill,
What
could
did you just say?
why do you have to be this way? Could you not, like, let us have a good time for once? I'm leaving." And he storms out of the bar, and then Groot's just standing with Peter, and Groot goes, "I am Groot," and then he also angrily storms out of the bar. So, like, I just, in that one, it took 1 second. I sat down, it gave me the option, and I took it to do a little joke with a buddy, and then they left. They're gone. They hate me. We're on, not on the best of terms.
That's crazy.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it's immediately, I don't like this scene, and I imagine I could have messed up similarly with Drax, where I go like, well, I shot him, but we all worked together. Like, if it was that, he probably would have stormed off too. He probably would have punched me, I bet. Yeah.
Right. I mean, with Drax, at least it's not like under the guise of like being a joke. That is just kind of like, actually, I kind of did it. You didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
But with Rocket, that does seem like a more innocent option. I guess I see why I like this scene better than you did, because I did not get that.
Yeah, and then as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh my god, I realized what I just could have done with Drax. I know what I'm going to do with Gamora now, because I lost Groot and Rocket. They have left the party.
Awkward.
Yeah, Rockward. That's when Rocket is awkward. And then I bet that if we said some other thing to Gamora, she would be like, maybe she could have been mad at us too.
You know what's so interesting about that is there's a choice that comes later that I thought would have really pissed Rocket off more, but it didn't seem to as much as this choice did. This, like, innocent little comment.
Well, which choice was that?
What to do with Thanos' body.
Sure, I mean, that's the big one of the episode. Yeah, that's
but
like the
it
central
seems
choice.
like... Yeah, but it doesn't seem like it from the way you're talking. Here, it sounds like this really pisses off Rocket. I did not choose to give him to the Collector. I went with Gamora's suggestion to give him to the Nova Corps, just because it seemed like a more personal thing to her, like it seemed like a better reason. But Rocket was still, like, totally fine with me. He was, like, a little pissed off. He was like, "You're missing out. We could have gotten a lot more money and it would have been cool."
Well,
but, like,
yeah.
he was, like, cooperative. He was still, like, a friend.
I also chose to give Thanos' body to the Nova Corps. And after we do it, we find out
Well, you and Rocket were not on good terms, so I could...
Rocket was
seems
pissed
like a
off
lot
the whole
easier.
time. Yeah, and
That's so crazy to me.
was he happy at all with you at any point? Because, like,
We were friendly. We were friendly at first,
Not
and
once.
then not well. So he was a little pissed when I chose not to sell him to the Collector. He's like, "What are you doing, you stupid idiot?" But after that, he was more pissed at the Nova Corps. Like, we get to the Nova Corps thing, and he's just like in the ship, just like,
yeah, he does that with me too.
yeah, he doesn't want to be part of it. He's telling them how much they suck over the intercom. but like not once did he have anything like super. It felt like we were still on good terms, even though I went against what he wanted.
Yeah, it kind of it reminds me of an aspect of the movies that I really like, and it especially shows up in the second movie, where you have these like cartoony kind of bands of superheroes or agents or whatever in all these movies, and like a lot of, not just Marvel movies, but like this is a very common trope, right? Just like a group of people, right, and they all have their own little like Western narrative trope that they tackle. Like there's always a dumb one. We got Drax, he's kind of the dumb one, and there's always sort of like a jerk, like a little bit of a trickster or jerk.
Right, your resident ball buster.
Yeah, your resident ball buster, Timrick. And that guy is Rocket in the Guardians of the Galaxy. And what the movies really explore, like, in a way that I think is very fun, is if you actually had a guy whose main personality trait was being a jerk, it would be genuinely awful. Like, you can't just have that. You can't just be friends with Gary Oak, you know? Like, if you let the trope exist as it's portrayed, but let the situation realistically play out, you'll immediately be like, dude, Rocket, we are not cool. We are...
You suck so bad. You give me shit all the time. I find your fur all over in the shower.
Yeah, you are
on
not
purpose.
Good to hang out with, man. Like, this is really bad. This is not something that I can just say, oh, he's the resident kind of jerk of the litter. He's like a problem. He's like an executive level management needs to come in and like give us PR training problem.
Yeah, you are a bully.
Yeah, you are a bully and mean to me. And this game taps into that for sure.
Right.
What's interesting that I just thought about is these Telltale games, they did alter them as they were coming out in order to adapt to fan feedback. I wonder if there's anything later in this series that has adapted to the fact that a second movie came out.
Oh, I know one character shows up that is from 2. I wonder if that's why. I mean, that would make sense.
One character later in the series?
Yeah.
Oh, did you like read ahead? Did you do some snooping?
I haven't done. I just seen things in the past.
Okay.
I've seen a trailer here and there. I've seen a screenshot.
Yeah. So you find out first off that you have this massive bar tab. You blacked out at some point during the night. You, by the way, is Peter Quill. You're Peter Quill through most of the decisions that you have to make.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they ever put you in the decision-making position of another party member.
No.
Yeah.
You play as them a little bit in like action scenes, but that's about it.
Yeah, like quick time.
I mean,
events,
they're just QTEs, sure.
Yeah. But like any decision-making, any of that Telltale stuff, that's all Peter Quill.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think of Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, as a character in general, before this?
I like him okay. He's probably not like my favorite member of the group, but, you know, he gets a laugh here and there. He seems like a nice enough guy. Kind of a jerk, but not to Rocket level jerk.
Yeah, if Guardians of the Galaxy is an interesting group because, like, I kind of need to blur my eyes to like it. Because if you think about any of these individual characters, I don't think I like them. Like Groot is so one note and literally and on purpose. Rocket is extremely frustrating. Peter Quill is kind of like your stand-in guy. I mean, he's a pretty good stand-in guy. I like him as a stand-in guy. He's got a lot of personality compared to your average, like, oh, fish out of water kind of guy.
The main character.
Yeah, and then Gamora and Drax are both so stoic. So, like, between all of them, like, I don't know if these are any of my favorite characters, really, but I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're fun.
their dynamics with each other really work.
Well, I think it's that, and I think it's also that like the stories that are told in this in this framework in any of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, they're stories that are like, I don't need to root for the Guardians. The stories are happening in and of themselves, and the stories are good stories, but like we're not powering through a lot of opposition most of the time with those stories. It's just the story itself is something that you can watch without being fixated on the characters. Sometimes it goes back and forth a little bit, but yeah.
Well, one thing I kind of think about is how there are some characters out there where you like them because they're bad. Like, they're not good people, but that makes them, like, entertaining, funny characters.
Sure, yeah, and I think Rocket is often that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even if you look at this person and you're like, I would not be friends with this little raccoon mutant. He's such a jerk. He's always giving everyone such a hard time. People are right to hate him. But also, I love watching him be that character.
Yeah, and I think it hits easier for me in a movie, especially compared to a video game in the style of the Telltale framework.
You don't have to interact with them directly, and also there's a lot less of it. Yeah,
in a Telltale game, I've brought up my frustration characters before, right? Like Wallace, and Rocket Raccoon here, and I'm trying to think of too many others.
Man, Wallace and Rocket, what a team up.
Ivan a little bit from Minecraft. Like there's characters who you would love to just like, because they give you the premise, right? The premise of your choices affect the game. I actually wrote it down this time. This game adapts to the choices you make. They put it at the front like it's like the ESRB makes them, and you know they don't. It's more of a branding thing, like establishing this idea. It makes it look mandated, and that gives it some power. I think it makes people excited about it.
Right.
But yeah, like they give you the premise of you have these choices. You can interact with these characters. You can make this world be the way you want it to be because you're a character in it with ability. You're a character in there with volition of your own. And I always get frustrated when there's like, you're telling me I can't do anything with Rocket, because I can think of things to do with Rocket. You know, I can think of things I could say, but they're never the they're never the dialogue choices. I feel very railroaded by dialogue in this episode, more so than other ones. And
Interesting.
That I think rubbed me the wrong way. And it makes sense, right? Because like if you want to give the player full control of a character, that character no longer has a personality. The player can give them one, but it's not one that you can account for. Because it's just whatever the player is going to do at any given moment. And in these franchise-heavy, narrative-heavy games, that is never the kind of character you want to play as. So they give you a character like Star-Lord, who's got a very specific personality and like a very colorful way that Star-Lord approaches talking to people and doing things. So like I'm caught between I know what I want to say and there's a thing Star-Lord would say, and they don't even come close a lot of the time in this episode. Whereas sometimes with Lee in The Walking Dead, for instance, or Jesse in Minecraft, it was much more about like be the Lee or Jesse or Clementine or even Bigby Wolf that you think the character could be. Even though Bigby Wolf, I think, is maybe a bit more in the other direction too.
Right, I get that.
Yeah. Between a lot of that stuff, I just didn't feel like the storytelling approach of this gameplay mechanic was working for me this time. I'm we're gonna give it the whole season. We'll find out if it changes, but that's my take so far.
that's in. I'm glad that we have. I don't even know if I want to say differing viewpoints, because I get where you're coming from. I guess it just didn't hit me in the same way it hit you.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Do we want to talk about the Eternity Forge?
Yeah, let's talk about the Eternity Forge.
Eternity Forge.
That's the thing from the episode, right?
Yeah, it's a little cup.
Yeah. You could drink from it, but you could also do more with it.
Yeah. Star-Lord grabs it in his bedroom, where he's got a picture of him and his mom from when he was still on Earth on the wall. And looking at the picture somehow triggers something with the Eternity Forge, and he goes back in time and occupies his younger self's either memory or dream of hanging out with his mom shortly before she died of cancer. Again, it's exactly what happens in the movie. You just have a nice little scene with her. I did like this. I thought this was great.
I thought it was a great scene.
Yeah. Let's see.
I won't lie, I got a little choked up. Just a smidge.
Yeah, because Peter got in trouble for fighting a classmate, I guess. Even though they were maybe picking on him. And that part is not completely shown, or you don't know how much he's lying about that.
It sounds like the kid broke his headphones or something.
Yeah, but I could also imagine Peter Quill being a dick to that first kid anyway. I don't know how good of a kid he was.
Right.
Especially this version of him. And his mom's like, dude, you can't be doing that. And she makes you, in that moment, make a promise to her to use your words instead of violence. And you can choose to make the promise or not. Did you make the promise?
I did, even though I felt like I don't know if that's a promise I can keep up. Not every situation is a words situation.
Yeah, I did make the promise as well. My thought was I'll start with words. I feel like that's good enough for the promise, you know?
I totally agree. I'll start with words, I'll try to hash it out peacefully, but if they're like a Thanos...
Yeah.
If they're like one of a Thanos, maybe talking is not going to help much.
Yeah, and I don't feel beholden to promises like this where the context is obviously going to be thrown back in my face. So if I break this promise because there's a Thanos type figure who we even tried to talk to, but it had to go to violence.
Right.
I'm gonna assume that she would have understood.
Yeah, if she was in the back, if you called her up first and said, "Mom, look," like if she were still alive and you called her before fighting Mr. Thanos, and you were like, "Hey, Mom, look, I know I made you that promise, but this guy, he's just not listening to reason. Mm-hmm. He's gonna get this crazy artifact. Can I shoot him with a big gun?"
Yeah, and if you did that,
I would
she
hope
would definitely
that would be okay.
"Oh, of course, yeah, that's not the violence I was talking about."
Yeah, I meant if someone breaks your headphone or steals your Kit Kat bar or something.
Yeah. That said, I do think that they're going to make it really sad if I break the promise, and I'm waiting for that to happen to me.
Right.
Yeah. And then as it fades out of the dream sequence, Peter's mom sort of breaks the fourth wall, and she talks to modern day Peter and says, find me, which indicates that maybe she is still alive somehow. Or the Eternity Forge is tricking Peter.
I have a feeling it's going to be that one.
I think so too, yeah. Or maybe the Eternity Forge can just bring people back to life, but it's going to be really bad to do.
Like a zombie, like a spooky zombie.
Yeah, or maybe it requires killing a different person.
That's what it says at the end. It's when they're trying to steal it back from Hala, who we have not gotten to yet, but she specifically she asks Peter if he would bring someone back to life if it meant killing someone else. So I assume that's what this thing does.
Yeah.
But it would be funny if like it brought Peter's mom back, but she was like a turtle or something.
Yeah. Have you seen the Joel Haver sketch where he can manifest any, like the perfect breakfast anytime?
Yes, yes, of course.
But it kills someone when he makes the breakfast,
and he has to drink the really disgusting like dishwater.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it.
He doesn't want to do it.
And yeah, but he's always still just making these breakfasts for himself. He's just still keep doing it all the time.
It's a really good donut, right?
Yeah, it's a really good pineapple, right? It's like the best you ever had. It's worth killing someone. Yeah, so I imagine the Eternity Forge works exactly that way.
Yeah, you get a breakfast.
Yeah, so we both sold Thanos' corpse to the Nova Corps.
Yeah.
There's a great little scene where the Nova Corps guy comes up and he says, "Peter Quill, I'm your biggest fan." And Peter's like, "Cool." Like,
great, man.
Great, awesome. And then it's determined that you don't get any money for it right now because the Nova Corps is so bureaucratic. You're going to get it in like 6 to 9 months.
And Rocket's just kind of in the ship shaking his head out.
Excuse me, I sneezed. I hurt my lip when I sneezed.
Oh my goodness, are you okay?
Barely, dude. I'll hold on. But so the sale of Thanos to the Nova Corps is interrupted by who is going to be the main antagonist of the series, Hala the Accuser.
Oh,
neat.
Accuser.
Yeah. Like Ronan the Accuser from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, she is also a Kree. But in this, they do something interesting here. In this version of the universe, it is assumed by basically everyone the Kree are long dead.
Right.
They are a warlike, super advanced race that once existed in the galaxy. They're not around anymore. But Hala is a Kree, and she has a ship full of... This felt very expansive to me.
This whole episode felt very expansive to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of... Because, like, when you're
got hover boots?
You can use the hover boots, yeah. But, like, the hover boots feel not nearly as good as the Expanse's Zero-G stuff.
Oh, definitely. But still, the fact that they were doing it, like, as early as this.
Yeah, and so when you go on the Kree ship, it's like the asteroid in the Expanse where there's a bunch of...
Yeah.
Like...
the Kree stasis pods.
Yeah, stasis pods. Like the tombs. They're dead in there, but they're being held up just in case.
That's the point where I wrote down in my notes getting real Expanse vibes from this.
Yeah, but like because this is Guardians of the Galaxy and because it is a comedy, the first thing Peter Quill does is like, well, I'm taking them offline. We gotta divert some other power here, so we'll just kill those guys.
Yeah, they ain't getting any deader.
Yeah, whereas in the Expanse, I think you leave the station in a like it could still potentially work if they find the miracle cure they're looking for.
Right.
Yeah. So you have a fight with Hala the Accuser. Hala seems to have lost. I don't remember what it was like implied to be. Was it her son or brother or something, or loved one?
I thought it was her brother.
Okay,
but now I'm second guessing myself.
I don't think they said outright, so we'll find out later.
Yeah, she just said like there's like someone she wanted to bring back, but then she also implied she was going to bring back like she says that the billions of Kree lives have been lost.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume she's going to want to bring back more than just one.
Yeah, so it looks like she's going to use the Eternity Forge somehow, if it works this way, which we still don't really know.
Right.
To bring back the Kree. That's the idea. It will involve a lot of sacrifice, probably unwilling, from a lot of other people.
Yeah, probably. I think if you're gonna sacrifice like 1 billion people to bring back 1 billion Kree, 1 or 2 people might be like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. uh, so you do a quick time event fight with her. She's clearly above your level, which I guess maybe means she was above Thanos' level too. Well, no, she didn't have big gun, and you don't have big gun.
To be fair, it's just the two of you. It's not the whole team versus her or anything. And yeah, the big gun, you can't forget about that.
Yeah, so you do a fight, and then you end up victorious because I think Rocket directs the Milano to shoot the windows out of the ship, and then you can go.
See,
fly
he doesn't
into the
hate
ship.
you. He doesn't hate you so bad that he wouldn't save you.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, something I wrote down to make sure I addressed. They said it was the Kree immediately. When Hollis showed up, Drax was like, "Kill all those Kree for me when you're there," because you can choose to bring Drax or Gamora, and I brought Gamora.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. So Drax is like, "Kill all those Kree for me," and then when they go on the ship, Peter goes, "Seems like these are Kree pods," like as if they're discovering it was the Kree, even though they just said it was.
We've been saying Kree a lot, but this is surprising to me.
Yeah, and then Gamora goes, "I guess some of them still exist." Yeah. I clearly one writer didn't get the memo on what they were trying to go for in terms of presenting this race. But also in that skirmish, Hala stabs Peter Quill like straight up in the chest.
Yeah, just straight up. I thought he was going to die, which I guess is the point.
I think he did.
Right, but the thing brought him back.
Yeah, so they bring him on the Milano. Everyone's sort of yelling at each other like, "Who let Peter die?" And Peter then is dying while that happens. That's
my favorite Baja Men song.
He has another flashback to his mom's funeral, and it's the memory of Yondu picking him up. It's the first alien he ever sees. They never show like that first interaction with Kid, Peter Quill, and Yondu in the movies. I like how they did it here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Also, in this instance, they made it a choice for Peter, whereas in the movie is like, oh, he was abducted by aliens. That is different.
Yeah. That's kind of nice that it lets you choose. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with aliens.
Yeah, Yondu is nice. He's nicer here than he normally is.
Yeah. Want to know a funny little story about Yondu? Not directly tied to this game, but to Yondu specifically.
Okay.
So, do you remember the game Disney Infinity?
Yeah.
So, I was reading an interview about why that game crashed and burned, which was unfortunate, but I just remember one of the people giving the interview was saying, yeah, we made a ton of figures for a ton of characters, and we didn't really think about what characters would sell the best and which one would be popular. And he said, we couldn't even give Yondu figures away.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, they, I
have the Guardians of the Galaxy to play as. You think I'm going to play as Yondu?
Yondu is, so like in the original Guardians of the Galaxy lineup, the first time they ever used that name, Yondu's one of them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like way back in time in the comics, Yondu was one of the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice.
Yeah, I like Yondu. I think I would choose him above certain Guardians members for sure.
I like him. It's just, for a video game, he's not high up on the list of characters I would choose to play as, I guess.
Yeah. Man.
Or like buy a figure of. Well, I guess I did buy the figure of him.
Okay. So.
Yeah, Peter's brought back.
Right. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. With the Eternity Forge, and then you see that, and then he looks like he jolts awake, and then he looks at the forge, and he's like, "Well, shit!" And then before he can say shit, the credits roll. I think they should have let him say shit.
Come on, let him say it. He's earned it. He died.
Yeah, in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they let him say fuck, and that's a MCU movie.
Isn't that so crazy that, like, that's not just for a Marvel movie, but it's one of the, like, only Disney movies ever to have an F-bomb.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
And it's dropped so casually. When I heard it was going to have, like, I saw some articles saying, first F-bomb in a Marvel movie, and I thought, oh, obviously they're gonna save it for, like, a big important moment, and then it's for, like, the most casual, jokey moment it could possibly be.
Or like save it for Deadpool, maybe, or something, like a character that makes sense to have one.
Right.
but no, it's just a fun little thing. I saw an interview with James Gunn where he was talking about it. And I guess Chris Pratt just sort of improv'd it. It wasn't in the script. And he was like, okay, we'll keep it. It was funny, so we'll keep it. And then, like, Kevin Feige, the Marvel guy,
right,
he watched the movie and he was like, James, you should really take it out of the movie. I mean, like, do you want to be known as the first person to put an F-bomb in a Marvel movie? And he was like,
was he expecting him to say, yeah, was he expecting him to say no?
That's such a weird perspective to, like, not want to be that person.
Right. Like,
I would definitely want to be that person.
Of course I want to be that person. I want to be the person to do it first.
Yeah, I forget sometimes that there's, like, not only people of different ages, but large pockets of the country where people of all ages kind of still care about the word fuck.
Right.
It's so...
How do you feel about it?
It's such a funny nothing word. It doesn't mean anything, and it can't offend a person because it doesn't, like, refer to a specific kind of person. So yeah, it's like it's just, it feels so old-fashioned to be, like, actually offended by it.
It's just a word.
Yeah, who would care? Who would possibly care about that?
Yeah, you're gonna say, fuck, whoops, I stubbed my toe, and then someone goes, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's expletives, which I just think are, like, fine, straight up. And there's slurs, which I think are genuinely terrible and represent a completely other thing. But between the two of them, they're not the same sort of curse. And I think there are some cultures that are closer to me than I would have expected them to be that actually care more about expletives than slurs, which I really can't get in the mindset of. That's wild to me.
Yeah, that's very surprising. Like, I get it if there's, like, I have a niece and nephew. I wouldn't want to, like, say fuck in front of them and then have them start saying fuck all the time. But, like, otherwise, other than that, like, who really cares?
Yeah, and, like, even then, I mostly just don't want kids to say it because I don't want them to get in trouble by the ones who... Yeah. By the older people who care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because, like, in a vacuum, I really don't care if they say it.
Yeah, it's just a word that means the same thing as, like, shoot.
Yeah. Well, in shoot is only the way that it is because it is, like, a replacement for shit.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. It's just something that conveys frustration.
It conveys information of any kind. Like, it's valuable to anyway. Yeah. Anyway, we're not putting fuck on trial here.
Yeah, sorry, fuck.
So that's the end of the episode. In the post credits, you get a little bit of a, like, mockumentary thing where all of the Guardians talk to the camera and say what they're nervous about for the next episode, which I thought was kind of cute.
I think that's fun. I think that's a much funner way to do, like, next time on episode.
Yeah.
It lets you get each character's perspective. It reminds you what's on their mind at that point going forward.
I think there was one episode of Minecraft where they did that, but it wasn't, like, a normal thing. It seems like they might do it every episode here.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Minecraft, want to know something fun?
Okay.
Well, fun for me. Not. I don't think you'll care at all. I went back and got the achievements that just decided never to pop up.
Oh,
for
did
me
you?
in Minecraft Story Mode?
Did you just
Yeah.
have to do it a second time?
Yeah. I just had to like. So all the achievements are just beat this chapter, and then it just wouldn't pop up from time to time. So I just made a duplicate save file, and I just redid like specific chapters of each episode.
You like skipped ahead for it?
Well, I just made a copy of my already completed save file so I could go backwards.
Okay. Gotcha.
Some of them took a little longer than others, but it was fine. I did it, and now I never have to play Minecraft Story Mode Season 1 ever again.
How long was the process of getting all the achievements?
Maybe like a couple... I don't want to say a couple hours, maybe like an hour and a half, because some of those scenes were pretty long.
I know the biggest
replay.
one is like that episode 2 branch where you can go to one town or the other.
Oh, no, that was easy to do.
Oh, really? How long did that
So
take?
what I did for that was so at the end of episode 1, sorry this is getting so far away from
I want to know about it.
Guardians, but yeah, I'm probably not going to bring it up again if I don't. So all I did was I started a new game file and I just let it make the decisions for me.
You can do that?
Cuz at the end at the end of episode 1 you choose who you want to go for and find.
Yeah.
But if you want to jump to a different episode, it'll just be like, hey, you haven't played episode 1. Do you just want us to, like, generate, like, what choices you made randomly? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then it just, like, started me out with going to Boomtown instead.
Oh, nice. So it was just automatically on that.
Yeah,
path?
so I just had to play through that, like, first chapter to get the guy whose name I already forgot.
That wasn't Magnus, was it? That Magnus is, like, the current... Was it Magnus?
I think it was Magnus. Yeah.
Okay. How was Boomtown?
It was kind of fun. You get like, so it's just like a free-for-all battle royale town.
Cool. They're all just hitting each
where
other?
they're like, yeah, they're just like blowing each other up, hurting each other, and everyone there wants your little amulet that helps you find Magnus. So they're like, we're gonna throw bombs at you and steal that, and you're like, but don't.
Why do
please.
they want it?
Just cause.
Because it's like pretty?
Oh, no, you know what it is? So Magnus is like the champion of Boomtown. They all want the amulet to find Magnus and take him on so they can be the new heroes of Boomtown. But anyone who's tried fails because Magnus is so good. And so he's like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. Fuck this. But you, Jesse... They don't know you. You could be the best for all they know. I'll throw the fight. Because if I throw the fight with anyone else, they'll know I threw the fight. But if it's you, I can just pretend like I did a bad job. And then we can just leave.
Nice.
Yeah. So got all the achievements. I don't want to say I'm like a massive achievement guy, but if it's a game like that where it's just so easy to get them and the only reason I didn't was because the game glitched out,
yeah,
I'm going to go back and get them.
That does upset me. I was thinking about doing it too, just because, well, especially because I played it on PlayStation, which I think changes the vibe a little bit for me, because now I'm talking about like having a platinum versus not.
Yeah.
When we were so close to it, just because of the glitch. I don't think I'll do it though. I don't really care about them.
Yeah, I just did it because it didn't take that much time. It's not necessarily a game I want to hold on to.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, it was that episode, and we'll see where it goes, I guess. How do you feel about Hala the Accuser as a villain?
I think she could be interesting. I mean, we just kind of got... We just kind of got a taste of her at the end here, but I feel like she's more interesting than just having Thanos be like the big main bad guy.
Yeah, with Thanos though, like Thanos does have sort of a pretty interesting personality. With Hala and really any of the Kree villains they've ever used, they're just very straightforward kind of bad guys. They're just very put together sort of villains. So I don't
but I don't know if I'm sure for a story like this that kind of lives by its narrative, I feel like they'd have to do a little more with her.
They haven't yet, but we'll see, and I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am curious what it would have been like if the Collector bought Thanos' body.
I wanted to do the Collector. I felt like, okay, either I go to the Collector or I go to the Nova Corps. I feel like going to the Collector would be more fun. But I stuck to Gamora. Her reasoning just felt... It felt like a better thing to go for than Rocket's we want money.
Yeah, and I also thought, like, maybe I want to get Rocket back on my side, but then Rocket said another thing to me that was just so rude that it made me think, okay, actually, maybe fuck Rocket. Maybe...
Yeah, fuck you, idiot.
Yeah. One thing they do keep bringing up throughout the episode is Peter's role as the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and how it's really up to you to keep the team together, and whether or not the team stays together. It feels a lot like skateboard points. Which makes me apprehensive. I don't want it to be skateboard points.
I don't know. It feels like something I care about a lot more than skateboard points anyway. Like, I'm like, oh no, I want to keep everyone together. I want everyone to just be cool and be a team and have fun and be friends.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about skateboard points.
Well, my perspective is like, if Rocket's bringing us down, let's hire a different guy, you know? So if it is a skateboard point like system, just for keeping the gang together, I'd much rather be rewarded for like catching on that this guy's being a dick rather than just giving him what he wants.
And here's the thing about that. I also did not get that reaction from Rocket that you did. So I feel like I was much more willing to keep Rocket on the team.
Yeah, everyone seems very nice for your thing. I don't know about mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the episode. Let's go into our segments.
I gotcha. Let's go into them.
Choice cut.
I mean, for me, it was just what to do with Thanos' body. Like, it is the big choice. It is the obvious one to pick, but it really is the one that I had to sit and think about and really consider the pros and cons of each. Because I did feel like going to the Collector would be more fun, and I can't help but still think that now. And I had to really think about, like, what do I do here? Because I don't want to piss anyone off, but, you know, you're going to have to in these situations. But yeah, I just thought about it, and so Gamora wanted it because she's killed so many Nova Corps members. She wants to kind of do right by them now that she's on the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a more noble reason than wanting more money than the money you're going to get for this.
Yeah, it turned out that Nova Corps gives you no money, which does make the choice more balanced.
Yeah. But
it's positioned as some money. So, yeah, it was kind of a... I didn't want to do anything for Rocket at the time. My choice cut was promising Mom not to be violent.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't come back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah.
Weekly guy. Who's your weekly guy?
Mitchell, I hate to say it after everything you've said this episode.
Is it Rocket?
I gotta give it to her. So here's my thing. I liked everyone in this episode. I got the Guardians of the Galaxy's sense of humor and weird sort of standoffish camaraderie that I've come to expect. So it's hard to pick. I just gave it to Rocket because he made me laugh the most. I was like, you are the resident ball buster of the group, Rocket. Haha, you and me are friends in this game.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I gave it to the Nova Corps guy.
He is good. He was one I considered too. Can I touch your gun?
Yeah.
And I was just like, let's not make this weird.
And Nova Corps guy is also associated with my golden moment, where they need to determine whether Thanos' body is real. So they scan it with like some sort of like carbon dater thing. And
it's taken forever.
It takes like 45 seconds. And they're all just like sort of looking back and forth and smiling at each other awkwardly while it's happening. And they do eventually determine it to be the real deal. I thought it was going to lead to like, turns out not to be real, but it's just like, yeah, it just takes so a long time. So
yeah, I thought it was gonna be exactly that too, but I think it's funnier that it just wastes your time for no reason, and then it's like, yeah, this is Thanos.
What's your golden moment?
I mean, I said it before. I just really liked that scene with getting drinks with the whole team and taking the time to shoot the shit with them. Just get a little one-on-one time with everyone. Yeah, I like that. I feel like if I got what you got, maybe I would feel differently about it. But when I was going through that scene, I was like, oh, I really like this. It's working for me in a way that when The Expanse tried to do something similar, like in episode 1, when you're just going to the ship and talking to the crew, that didn't work for me. It felt like I don't care about any of these people. But I guess with Guardians of the Galaxy, it's because I already have that very strong connection with them from the movies, and these are just basically the same as the movie versions. I'm like, I already know these guys, but I can just take a little time, get a little one-on-one, and it's just nice to have this before, get used to everybody before shit goes down.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it was
like how
it was fun. I won't say it wasn't fun in that bar scene.
Yeah, like I feel like if something had happened to sour it, like unfortunately you got, then maybe I would have a different golden moment. But I thought it was really good. I also really like, this isn't my golden moment, but oh, sorry. One thing I did like was how after you kill Thanos, but before Hala comes to attack, the big conflict going on, like the next development in the story, is you have to pay your bar tab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that would have been fun to be the story. Like, obviously they can't just have that be it, but I liked that for a second it was like, oh no, this is the big thing we're worried about right now.
Well, for both of us, because we gave it to the Nova Corps, I think we still have that problem.
That's true. I wonder if it's going to come back to bite us later.
Another golden moment contender I had was looking through the ship's email.
Oh yeah, I was just about to bring that up too.
Yeah, I want to make sure we talk about it because it's a fun little thing. But they have emails from like Howard the Duck is in there, Cosmo the dog, which is before, if I remember correctly, Cosmo or Howard were ever referenced in a movie in the actual MCU. So
Howard is in the post credits for the first movie.
Is it the first one? I thought he was in the second one for a second. Yeah, no, you're right.
I think it's all of them.
Yeah, good point. But Cosmo isn't there yet. So
yeah.
They were pretty like future minded on all of the things that could be related to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Just I like stuff like that where you can just look through it for fun, get a sense of the character personalities and humor.
Yeah, and the time in which you're allowed to check your email is when you're trying to decide what to do with the with Thanos' body. So if you're just like on that computer reading bios and checking emails and stuff, one email you'll eventually get while doing that is from Rocket, who is just downstairs, and he's like, dude, hurry up. So that's pretty good.
Don't even think about giving him to the Nova Corps. You better do what I want.
Yeah, so that's this episode.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I know you were a little more apprehensive about it, but I came out of this episode with a pretty optimistic feeling about it.
Who do you have any Marvel characters that you think might show up in the future that you would be kind of excited about? Maybe I don't think I do.
Not really. Like I said, I've seen barely any of the MCU, and I never really knew much about Marvel even before the MCU. Like, I knew Spider-Man, I knew Hulk, I knew who they were, but like I wouldn't consider myself like such a fan that I know that I have like, oh, I really want to see this character show up, or maybe they'll have this obscure guy.
Yeah, Maybe we'll see more Howard the Duck. I guess that would be where I would want to see it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have him like be one of the main characters.
That'd be great.
Have Batman be in it. That'd be a trip.
Sure, have Batman. It's the wrong comics, but
Yeah, but that makes it even more exciting.
It does make it better, yeah. Let's get Lee in there.
Yeah, Sam and Max.
Yeah. Sam or Max.
Oh, imagine if you go to the Collector and he has like Max in a tube.
Oh, dude. Maybe we should look up what happens. Guardians of the Galaxy, Telltale, The Collector. I'm looking at...
It says here he has Max in a tube.
Yeah, and he has... Max in a tube. No, so I think... Okay, I'm looking at it right now. Who's the Collector in this? Okay. Oh, the Collector is a... You don't talk to the Collector. You talk to, the Collector's... assistant woman person.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And you don't go in the museum. You go to in front
okay,
of it.
Well, that makes me feel a little less bad for not picking it. Like, the whole time I was like, I bet it would be fun to go in and see his stuff. But no, you don't even... So I don't feel that bad about not picking it now.
Yeah, I think it's I'm looking through it. It goes down almost exactly the same.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay, so until next time, I love you listeners. I love all of the listeners.
Yeah, stay cool.
And we'll be back with episode 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series. Have a great summer.
Yeah.